Tag Team is probably the least played deck in the game. Not because it's bad or unfun to use, but because people refuse to acknowledge the H3 pack. But I get it. YouTubers and Payday 2, I mean, come on. This is a super serious heisting game. Can't have anything ridiculous like that to break my immersion. Anyway, if you want to be realistic, the pack itself has some nice content. The deck is unique, and one of the only decks in this co-op game to actually rely on teammates. Crazy. I'll get more into it later, so let's just go over what Tag Team offers first. Tag Team unlocks a gas dispenser as a throwable, and after tagging another player, you can both heal and gain damage absorption from killing enemies. Now everyone knows that Overkill is awful at writing descriptions, but personally I think Tag Team takes the cake. You may think, well, how long does this effect last? According to the first card, 2 seconds with a 12-second cooldown, which would be almost completely useless. Whoever wrote this was clearly huffing from a gas dispenser, but I think that gas might have been keyboard duster or something, because I can't even begin to guess where these numbers came from. The actual effect lasts for 12 seconds and has a cooldown of a minute. During this time, any kill you or a tag teammate make, the effect is extended by 2 seconds. This is actually not that low. Get a player who can use their mouse and you can run this effect for even minutes at a time. You can also just chain gas dispensers together, but remember that everything hinges on your ability to do a little bit of kill whoring. So what happens during this time? Well, you can think of Tag Team kind of like Hacker. During the effect, you go wild and kill everyone in sight. Just pretend you're a military who hasn't signed any war conventions and you came upon a civilian village. That should help. This does also contribute to the fact that Tag Team has the most aggressive playstyle in the game out of any perk deck. Some perk decks will allow for extreme aggression in bursts of a couple seconds, but none for as long as Tag Team. The issue with Tag Team, and why people think the deck is bad, is that you aren't really given enough to sustain this aggression. For every kill, you gain 2 absorption until a max of 20, which doesn't sound like much, but it can be helpful in some cases I'll get into later. The more interesting part, however, is that for every kill you and your partner make, you will heal for 15 health, and they will heal for half of that. Okay, I'm sure you get it by now. Tag Team revolves around killing a lot of enemies very fast. Alright, how can I make a build to take that concept to the max? Let me think here. I got this. No hints. Hold on. Okay, I know. I got this. Thanatos. Okay, who is surprised? If you need a lot of kills, akimbo SMGs with ammo bags exist for a reason. This build is very low maintenance. Aim towards enemies and hold the fire button. I don't have too much to say about this build, so I'll just go over some elements that'll be recurring in other builds. The first thing you might notice is Aced Underdog, which is usually an ignored skill. The situational damage resistance is situationally useful. However, when considering Tag Team's absorption, Underdog's 10% allows you to take a third health shot, and with how aggressive Tag Team is played, this has saved me pretty often. Joker Aced is also a bit of a strange choice, but when your team isn't reliable enough, is too far away, or just dead, converts can be tagged as well. This will help them kill a bit more, and although it's not as good as tagging a player, it's better than nothing. If you have no one to tag, you can't heal at all. If you want a lot of kills but want to be built for at least some team play instead of pure DPS, then become an explosive user. A well-placed shot can top off your health bar, not to mention max out your effect time. Unfortunately, the GL40 isn't too good with dozers, so I went with a Tatanka secondary. I always forget just how strong this SMG is, and every time I come back to it, I feel dirty for playing it. It also helps that I just added Unseen Strike Ace with body expertise here, so really you can just slovenly spray this bad boy around and watch things die. If you want, you can get rid of Unseen Strike here and go for Bloodthirst Ace for the reload boost. That makes the GL40 kinda silly. There is one issue with this build, and that's the fact that both of these weapons are not too great with pickup, which is where Scavenger Ace comes in. Lately, I've been seeing a lot of anti-scav ace rhetoric, and I have no idea why. Let me say it clearly so that everyone remembers. Scavenger Ace is a powerful skill. Unless you are camping spawns at far ranges, you will definitely feel the effects. Scavenger Ace is very good at keeping you either filled up on ammo, or for regenerating ammo in bursts. So can we stop the nonsense that it's useless unless in certain strict situations? I've been pretty outspoken about my feelings towards damage range multipliers, probably more than anyone else in the world, but with how aggressively close to enemies you are with Tag Team, it isn't too much of an issue. Though, if I said I didn't have an ulterior motive with this build, I'd be lying. Sure, at a distance you'd probably be better off hoping that COVID kills your enemies, as you do about as much damage as coughing on someone, but at least at close range, these weapons slap pretty hard. Overkill Ace is extra here, but if you're going for damage to keep everything in close range dead, then swapping off the M1014 to be a micro Uzi main is a perfectly good choice. The kicker with this build is that you're practically useless against enemies more than an arm's length away, which is just a fun game design aspect from Overkill. It's not like Tag Team needs to be played strictly with light armor. While the ICTV does make playing very aggressively tougher due to a limited move speed, the absorption gives you a free 2-shot setup. One minor setback is that after your dispenser ends, the absorption goes away after being shot, so this build really does need to be under the effect a lot. For that, the KSP is here to save the day with its bottomless mag. Just keep spraying and your 2-shot will live, but if you can't keep up with the kills, you'll need to play really cautiously. The KSP can stand on its own, it's overpowered to shit, but the accuracy isn't all too good, so I went with the Jackal to help out with that a bit. Yeah, you could go for like a Krinkov here, but fancy over function is my motto. You know, in theory, this build is great. It's got everything you need: dozer clearing, shield clearing, and general enemy stopping power. However, there seems to be an issue from my end. That being that it requires you to aim well. I swear to God I'm not throwing for content, I'm just this bad. The fact that neither of the weapons have a laser also really helps. Like I said, all of the parts of a good build are here, but I sure as hell can't make it work. This isn't my area of expertise. None of the builds so far had Hostage Taker, because they didn't really need it. However, with this build, I'm not nearly confident enough to keep up my health with just the gas dispenser. Hostage Taker is one of the best survival skills in the game, and it really does shine here to make up for my garbage aim. This build does come with quite a bit of micromanaging though, so if that's not your thing, it may be a bit taxing to play. When you are on or off your gas dispenser, when your overkill ace is active, what firing type the pistol is on, all of those need to be tracked. The pistol here is pretty cool, as with Surefire and Overkill Ace, it allows the airbow to one-shot to the body. If you want to drop that and just go for headshots, then be my guest. Alternatively, you could go for a Burr 99 and build for max concealment to get low blow instead of Overkill Ace. In fact, that would be the smarter option, which is why I didn't do it. That's Tag Team for you. Now there is one thing I want to go over, that being how can Tag Team be improved. The community has a huge stigma against it, so here are a few suggestions I have to make it more favorable. Number 1. Get rid of the direct sightline requirement. This is incredibly pointless for the perk deck. Not only is it buggy, but it serves to annoy the player. Inspire works through walls, so why not the gas dispenser? This doesn't really buff or nerf the deck, just makes it less annoying to play since you don't need to be hugging your teammates for half the game. Number 2. Alert the player you're tagging. Seriously, how is this not an in-game feature? A perk deck that requires your teammates to be aware of the effect has no indication of when it's happening. Luckily, mod makers are here to make the game work, as usual. Number 3. While the previous suggestions were more fixes than changes, this one is different. Uncap the limit on the effect. The max time you can have on the effect is only 12 seconds, taking roughly 10 kills to max out. The issue is that enemies in this game arrive in discrete spawn groups. Very often, I kill a ton of enemies on a maxed out timer, and waiting for the next spawn group, the timer just runs out. All those kills go to waste, and being able to stack the timer would make it both easier to keep the effect going, and actually reward the kills you get, even if you're at full health and max absorption. Now, I could offer changes to healing numbers and absorption numbers, but I have no real way of testing those, and to be honest, Tag Team is already one of the most balanced decks in the game. Well, aside from being super awkward to use due to what I mentioned in the proposed changes. Anyway, Tag Team is a good deck, and the H3 pack isn't that bad. If you disagree, you can cope, seethe, mauled, cry about it, bozo plus.